They separated the author from their work, which I think is actually extremely helpful
Oh,
if you want to be an author.
right. We're sensitive about our shit.
And we
Right.
pour so much effort into it. And there are pieces of ourselves, I think there are pieces of ourselves in everything we're going to write, because you can only write based on what you experience. So it's super hard to separate yourself from the story you wrote. But if you can take a step back and say, okay, I'm not my characters. Yes, I built this world. Is everybody going to love it? No. Does everybody love the world we already live in? Probably
No.
not. So just have that separation and say, okay, here's what the story needs to be better. Not, oh, I messed that up and I can't ever go back and fix it. If somebody gives you feedback, take it for what it is,
Right.
take it as a learning experience and fix it.
NL Publishing Service Academy proudly presents Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast with literary success consultant DK Walker, sharing with you writing tips, marketing ideas, publishing information, and inspiring interviews for your author journey. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with DK Walker.
This is DK Walker, and this is Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast. I am not by myself today. I'm joined by Lindsey Elizabeth. I met her on TikTok. I found her TikTok to be quite fascinating. She's a self-published author, and she has a lot of juice to share with you today. So with that being said, Lindsey, welcome to the room.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. So before we get into writing your books, whatever the case may be, walk me through, when did you begin writing? How early did the writing bug bite you?
Yeah, I have been writing for a very long time. I actually started writing stories when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, I just started. I've always been a very imaginative kid. I was just the kid that liked to play alone. I always had my imaginary friends and my plastic animals, my stuffed animals, stuff like that. So then storytelling came really naturally for me at about 10, and I started writing like some short stories. In third grade, I won like this kind of a promising young authors award when I was in elementary school. Thank you. I think that's my only award from writing so far, but it was a good motivator. So
I'm pretty sure more is to come, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We were just talking briefly off camera before we started to record. Of course, I am old enough to know never to ask a woman her age, so I'm not going to do that. No worries. But if you've been writing for half your life, if that's the case, then how old are you now?
Yeah, I'm 27. So I've been writing about 17 years, I would say.
Okay, cool. So if you 13 years, like between 12 years old, between 12 and 14, that bug bit you. How did that happen at such a young age when the normal is not necessarily a good or bad thing, but how did the writing bug bite you at such an early age and grab or gravitated towards it while other kids your age were doing typical kid stuff?
I never did typical kid stuff. Honestly, the writing came out of like nowhere. Like I didn't know people were really like authors. I just knew about books and I enjoyed books. And I was like, oh, I could tell some stories. I've got some ideas rattling around. And it was actually in middle school that I was in more of a creative writing class for English, or like a unit for English. And my middle school best friend, she came up to me one day and she was like, hey, we should both write a story with the same prompt. And we both did. Okay. And hers was like 5 pages long, and I wrote a 300-page book.
Are you serious?
I think I was about 13, 14. Yeah. I just kept writing. I was like, oh, this is actually like a story. And I just kept going and wrote a book, and then that turned into a trilogy. And then I wrote a couple more standalones, and I published them all by the time I was 18.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's quite impressive. Do you still see yourself? Does that little girl still reside in you, as far as that enthusiasm to write?
Oh yeah, I've always been enthusiastic to write. It never bores me. I never get tired of it. It's like the one hobby in my life that I've just completely stuck with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, it fuels me as a creative person.
I can only imagine. So
Yeah.
with that being said, tell the listeners and for the people that's watching on YouTube about the books that you have out and your WIPs, if you have any.
Sure. So to backtrack, by the time I got to college and I actually took creative writing courses, I unpublished all of my books that I wrote in middle school. So right now I only have one book out. It is a dark fantasy romance. It's called Kingdom of Ash and Shadow, and it is the first in a trilogy. So I'm currently working on edits for the second book, which is supposed to come out in June, and then working on the third book, set to come out in December. I'm trying to rapid release
Okay.
all three in the trilogy within this year. So
Oh,
yeah.
I have to ask the question, why did you unpublish your books?
Oh, I think I was just like, by the time I got to be an adult and look at it critically, I knew for a 14-year-old that was really good writing for me. I took a bunch of writing classes. People did say that it was decent. But I think just as I grew as an author, I was like, okay, this isn't really a best representation of what I could do for this story. So I'm thinking of toying with the idea of going back and completely rewriting them at some point
Okay.
because they were pretty decent.
You have to keep in mind, so like when you write, readers love to go on that journey with you. They want to grow with you. So maybe,
sure.
right. So maybe you do take the time out to go back and rewrite, but as an added bonus, you can also release those as is because they would love to see
Yeah.
that difference. And when I see the promising young, author and then her evolution, right? And then of course,
Yeah.
you get to double your sales that way as well, right? So it's a win-win.
I love that idea.
No, not a problem. You filled out a questionnaire before you got on the show, and you said you have a background or you work in marketing.
Learn how to write faster, conquer writer's block, and tell a story your readers will love. In less than 1 month, writing only 3 pages daily, you can go from book idea to manuscript using the unfair writing advantage. Most authors take 8 months on average to write just 1 book. But in a fraction of that time, you will learn how to craft a book your readers will love and not be hunched over your laptop days on end to do so. Just go to www.theunfairwritingadvantage.com to see what has the self-publishing industry buzzing. Now back to the podcast.
How does that play in the marketing of your books?
Oh, yeah. I majored in marketing. You're good.
I'm sorry, before you even answer the question, and the reason I'm asking that question so early in the podcast is self-publishing authors, I got my hand up, I'm included, we struggle with marketing. So anybody that comes on my podcast that has an inkling to do with marketing, I gotta ask, I gotta know. And of course, I rewatch and I take notes and I go apply what they share with my audience. So with that being said, how do you apply your job to your books?
Honestly, the marketing that I do is more of digital marketing. It's working with ads and like SEO and stuff, pay-per-click. So it's a lot more on the technical side.
Okay.
Whereas most of it does play in, so I'll get to that. But most of my marketing that I do for my book is on TikTok, which is very visual, which I do have a background in graphic design. So I just blend everything together. I would say that the marketing plays into TikTok marketing through the algorithm, through SEO, through those kind of like best practices that way, because TikTok is considered a search engine. So if you're scrolling and at the top, it says find related videos, or it'll give you the topic that plays into your SEO. So when you have native TikTok text on the screen, in the caption, in the hashtags, basically TikTok's reading all of that and saying, okay, what is this video about? And then plugs that up into the search bar for you. So it's a lot of playing with the right words to find the right audience. And I've had a lot of luck when I use specifically like dark fantasy romance in text over my video. So, and then that shows up and that usually helps boost the video a little bit. So it all ties together.
I see. That's very smart, by the way. With you knowing about SEO, do you have your own website as well?
Yes, I do. It is LindseyElizabethDesigns.com because I also do freelance graphic design. So
okay.
But that is also hosts my books and things.
Which is smart. Like you have everything in house.
Yeah.
With that being, do you go far as knowing how SEO works, do you think that you have more leverage outside of social media platforms because you're relegated by not only the algorithm, right, but also that competition? Whereas you have your own website, it's just knowing SEO and then driving content to your website.
Yeah, I would never say that I have any sort of advantage. The market is so saturated for books and everything. And if anyone's searching dark fantasy romance just on Google, there's no way I'm up at the top. It's going to be like Sarah J. Maas and stuff.
Right.
Those big name authors, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling's probably going to be up there.
So
I think it's helpful for sure to have, instead of having a link tree or a stand store on my TikTok bio, I just have my website. And I made my own links page, which is, it's just good for brand recognition.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah. So what you're saying is, instead of having a link tree, like what most of us ask, because I have one as well. So you think that it's best to have just a landing page with all your links on it?
I think it depends on what you're going for, because I also have an email newsletter subscription at the bottom of it, which you can do with Linktree. I just think you have more customization when it's your own website. And if, God forbid, Linktree servers go down, then you're kind of screwed with all your links. But hopefully you can control whether or not your website's up.
That's 1,000% to say the least. Speaking of being exclusive to something, are you exclusive to Amazon?
I am, yes.
Oh, okay. I have a love, hate. Oh, I can't stand hate. And this is this is the reason I have a problem with Amazon. A couple of reasons. I think that the payout to the authors, the pie should be bigger. I honestly believe that. I think we do so much work. I think what happens is, because there are so many authors that can self-publish, and there's so many tools that self-publishing authors can use. Amazon realized that people are always going to buy from who they know and trust. That's Amazon all day long. Because no matter where you go to, you're going to see an Amazon delivery truck. You're going to see a package on somebody's door. You're going to see that smile from A to Z, meaning they have all products from A to Z. Great branding, not a problem. So with that being said, how do you, and you had mentioned something about a newsletter earlier. So how do you, and I'll still ask the question though, how do you keep hold of the people that's buying your books? So how do you gather your community, being as though Amazon doesn't allow, and that's the number one problem I have right there. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. How do you keep hold or keep tabs to your community, being as though Amazon doesn't give that information?
Writing your manuscript has been hard enough, so let NL Publishing Service Academy make self-publishing your book easy as possible. From beautifully designed full and ebook covers to uniquely done typesetting and formatting, our goal is to professionally enhance your manuscripts and book covers to give your readers the best reading experience possible. Need marketing tips, tactics, and strategies? We can help you with that. How about branding and broadening the reach of your author platform? Yep, we can help you with that too. So no matter what your self-publishing needs are, NL Publishing Service Academy has you covered. Just head over to www.nlpublishingservices.com for whatever your self-publishing needs are. And now back to the podcast.
Yeah, definitely having a newsletter or something where people can follow you pretty directly rather than on social media or on Amazon. I'm just trying to think.
Oh, take your time.
Yeah, it's just because I also have a love-hate relationship with Amazon, because I agree that a piece of the pie, it should be bigger. But also comparatively, they actually do have the best royalties for self-publishing, which is just crappy to hear anyways, but it's fine. But also most of my readers are on Kindle Unlimited, which there was a whole drama about that as well. So basically what I do is I'll have my newsletter sign up. And then I also, in my back matter of my book, I have a little, in my about page, I have all my links for social media. And I believe I have a QR code to my website. So.
I definitely have to ask a question about that. You said that in your back matter of your book that you have links. I thought that Amazon frowned upon that would actually get your book known.
I haven't heard of anything like that. Like it's just in the back matter. Oh, follow me on TikTok.
Oh, cool. Right. I was led astray. I did not know that. If that's the case, then maybe
it's possible. Or at least with ebooks, maybe they scan it more on ebooks, but physical book.
You said physical books. Okay, cool. Not a problem. Because I know that had read something somewhere and it was like it discouraged from having links that will take the reader outside of Amazon. But
Oh,
that would be a great, and then my problems with Amazon would lessen, because think about it, right? You use your back matter in your book to direct them to other books or even back to your website. Now
right,
but they don't allow. That's
right.
like y'all become the reason that we self-publish, because we got tired of like the publishing companies, but Amazon has become the publishing company. I'm sorry.
I
I
know.
promise you, I'm going to get off my soapbox.
They're definitely leveraging their
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
leveraging their power a little bit. Yeah.
To say the least. So with that
For
being
sure.
said, have you ever thought about, in my opinion, authors need to realize, self-publishing authors need to realize that they control the product. So what if,
Mhm.
and tell me what you think about this idea. I've been toying with this. What if you would actually raise the price of your books on Amazon, but have them lower on your website? If people are going to go to buy their books from Amazon anyway, you should benefit from that, right? Or if people
Right.
want that deal,
Yeah.
they'll buy it directly from your website.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. An author that I follow on TikTok, but JJ Leertz,
Okay.
she does that as well. Yeah, she has her book marked up more on Amazon and then sells it for cheaper and a signed copy on her website.
Because we control
So
the
it's
product.
definitely possible.
Right. Yeah, I
I
think
know.
I think we need to realize that we control the product, right? And since we control the
Mhm.
product,
Oh yeah.
like think about, if you go to Walmart, things are considerably cheaper than if you go to Target, but they're pretty much the same thing. And
Mhm.
that's why that's where I got that idea from. Moving into your current
Yeah.
book, I see that you're doing a lot of promotion on TikTok for that. How is that working out for you, plus writing? Because people get frustrated when the numbers don't reflect sales.
Yeah. It's been going. It's been going pretty well, actually. I feel like I've gotten a better response than I expected, but I also keep my expectations very low. In all honesty, I just write because I love it.
Okay.
And anytime I do make a sale, I'm like, oh, cool, somebody's excited about it. And I've actually gotten a really good response from the people who have read it. And I have people message me and they're like, I am literally obsessed with this book. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm not the only one that likes it.
Well,
That's nice.
oh, that's a beautiful thing. So, of course, I'm pretty sure you're taking those messages and you'll leverage them far as go leave me a review. If not, may I use this screenshot
Mhm.
of DM and post that as well. That's
Yeah, I think everyone
testimonies.
who's messaged me has definitely reviewed it. So that's
Oh,
very nice.
that's definitely a good look. Where are
Yeah.
you at with your current work in progress? What have you learned from your first book to your current work in progress? What's differing there? What are you doing different
Yeah.
to see better results is the question I'm asking.
The hard part about marketing a trilogy is that you need people hooked on that first book in order to market the second one. So I put the first chapter sneak peek at the end of the first book.
That was very smart of you.
As well. I do a lot with my back matter.
And
I
you
do a
suppo-
lot in the back of my books.
you suppose that's
So
real estate.
yeah,
That's
I know.
most
Yeah,
self-publishing offices
take
don't realize.
advantage.
Right, that's your
Yeah,
free real estate. Don't have just blank pages. Do something with those
yeah,
blank pages. I'm sorry.
right.
This is not about me. This
Yeah.
is about you.
In
Please
my
forgive
book,
me.
it literally, oh, you're fine. No, it literally is end of the book, and it's like the end. And the next page is, do you want more? Flip to the next page. Here's the next chapter of the first book. Here's where to find me online, like everything. As far as, yeah, what was that?
Oh, so I was starting to say, so maybe, so if your current book is being well received, which you're telling me that it is, not a problem. And then at the back matter, have you thought about pre-selling your next book?
Yeah. So with Amazon, you can only set up pre-orders for the ebook, which I find annoying. But yeah, it is up for pre-order. So
Okay, that's a
it's
win-win
up.
situation, because you keep them in the
Yeah,
buying cycle.
exactly. I keep them in that little funnel of
Right.
marketing.
Well,
Yeah.
you're a marketer, so you definitely understand how that
Yeah,
works, to say
for
the least.
sure. Mhm.
My next question, which I ask all my guests, and I guess it's a pet peeve of mine, how do you see AI shaping the landscape of
Mhm.
self-publishing?
Oh, I feel like this is a loaded question because it's such a binary reaction. Either like you hate AI or you love it.
Okay.
I love it.
So give me the reasons why.
First off, I want to say that I don't think it's going to be like stealing anybody's jobs. Like it's not going to be able to write whole books well at all. But I do enjoy the aspects of, so we're talking about Chat GPT probably, where you can ask it objectively to either rate your writing, you can have it grammar check your writing better than Grammarly would.
Okay.
And I even was playing around with it this week, asking it to developmentally edit and give feedback on certain sections of my book. And it was actually, so you take it with a grain of salt. You say, okay, here's the feedback it gave me. It's saying, who is this character? I'm like, okay, this is the middle of a chapter, halfway through the book. Of course, this robot's not going to know who this character is, but I do. And I know I introduced them well, but I think it does sometimes give good feedback. It's, oh, this sentence could be structured differently to read better. I'll take a look at that sentence and say, okay, what could I do differently? Maybe I use a different word here, or I break up the sentence a little bit differently, or just maybe it's not clear who's talking. And it does have some really good feedback. You can't take it as it's being creative, because it's not. It's just a language learning model. It's not artificial intelligence. It's basically learning what is the typical, what's the next word after this word, and it's piecing those things together for you.
Okay.
So it's not actually creating anything, but it is shifting the perspective, I think.
Very much. Now, I'm not totally against AI. I do use AI when it comes to, they have this thing when you upload your videos onto YouTube called vidIQ. vidIQ writes the best doggone titles and captions.
Yeah.
And when I be uploading my videos, my podcast to go on YouTube, I like, look, that's not me. I have no problem I have no problem coming clean, people, none whatsoever, to say the least. You give great advice on TikTok. There was something I definitely want to touch on. You said something to the fact, and if I stumble along the way, please help me through this. You gave advice about how people could actually, I want to say, get a seller link through Amazon and make extra money that way if they click on your book but don't necessarily buy it. Do you remember that? Right. Walk me
it's
and my
Amazon
right
Associates.
Okay.
Yeah, Amazon Associates. I believe anybody can sign up, because there's Amazon Affiliates, which is where you have a storefront where you can link products, and that apparently you need like a following for, and they don't just let anybody in. That's Amazon Affiliates. Amazon Associates is you can just sign up, and then you get this like banner at the top of your Amazon when you sign in, and you can go to any product. It doesn't have to be your own product, but you can go to any product and get a link either with text or a photo, one of the selling photos. And then you can just copy and paste that link. It's usually a short link, so it's really easy to do on social media. And yeah, if people click on that link, even if they don't buy the thing that they came for, but your link brought that traffic to Amazon, then you get a little bit of payout, pennies usually, but
still genius, right? It's free money.
$6 extra this year.
I heard the number that you gave, and I'm still thinking to myself, that's still free money, right? Like,
it is.
All that counts and definitely helps. Now, my next question may scare you, and I don't mean to, but I'm going to ask anyway. God forbid that this has happened, because I've literally fallen in love with this platform, right? Because I think you get the biggest ROI. What would happen, or what would you do if TikTok was to get banned? I pray that it doesn't, but I gotta ask.
I know, with so much happening with it lately, that's a valid question. Let's see. I just started working on my email list, so hopefully I've got some people there, but honestly, I think I would just publish anyways. I work full-time. I'm not doing this to be full-time author. Would it be great to make a full-time living? Yes. But I just do it because I love it. And I just think that the right people will find the book anyways.
I do believe.
Based on what I told you earlier about self-publishing when I was younger, I didn't ever keep track of my sales. And when I went and uploaded this book in January, Kingdom of Ash and Shadow, I was looking just like for shits and giggles, basically, what was like the lifetime sales of my entire Amazon store or whatever, KDP. And I had actually sold like 300 books when I was like 15. I didn't even know it.
Wow. And you're right.
I was like,
that's impressive.
Yeah,
I don't know if once you got that information, you have to celebrate that small win.
I know. I was like, oh, I actually did pretty good when I was younger.
You did. Like that lets you know that you're definitely onto something. I hope, I'm not sure the backstory with, what the problem is with TikTok. It's a mess, and
It is.
it affects the people. But I do believe that with anything, it's always nice to have a backup plan. Don't put all your eggs in, even if that basket is profitable, always have a basket over here, just in case basket.
Yep. I have an Instagram and I have YouTube, and I don't post as consistently there.
Because you get better returns on TikTok, right?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah. And it's easy to just film a 20-second video, then sit down and film for an hour and edit it.
And you had spoke earlier about having your email list, right? And people need, excuse me, self-publishing author job, please, y'all need to know this. Like, email, although my email, geez, I probably got 90,000, need to clean that thing out. But email never dies. Like, you don't look at it as it's prehistoric, although it's the oldest thing out there to market. People still use use email effectively. So if you own a platform and you're not getting the best ROI on that platform, you need your own digital real estate. Without that, you're going to suffer anyway, because they're going to come a point in time that, say, TikTok goes away, say that Facebook goes down, say that IG goes down. Fortunately for you, you have full-time jobs. Some authors, this is what they do. So you got to have, what's my plan B, plan C, plan D in place just in case.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like a lot of hard work, and it is, but the beautiful thing about that, do the work early and you don't have to do the work again.
That's for sure.
Yeah, to say the least. What do you love most about writing?
I think I enjoy the world building the most as a fantasy author. I love my characters, but I do really love world building.
How does that make you feel? And I was talking to a friend of mine, Jennifer Carr, and very good friend of mine. I tell authors, like, and I'm not being blasphemous, but you get to play God, because it's a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
And you get to actually, if I was in charge, this is what's going to go on, right? I'm going to have this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
So I definitely, like I said, not being blasphemous at all, but I love to construct. My next question would be, what do you hate most about self-publishing writing? What really gets under, if anything? Because it may not be any, it might not be nothing.
There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head, because I feel like if I hated anything about it, why would I do it?
Yeah.
And I understand that they're like, some people really hate editing, and I'm like, I don't hate it. I feel like I get to just make the story better.
Do you self-edit, or do you pay somebody to?
Yep, I self-edit. I will get beta reader feedback, and then I self-edit.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable with that process? Because the gurus, I'm not a guru. I'm not.
I know.
But gurus say that you should never, like, the last thing an author should do should be a read aloud to catch the last mistakes, editing their book. So I guess there's some truth to that, because if you think about it, if you're reading your book and there's something there mentally, if you're reading to yourself and you're reading, you'll make the correction in your mind.
Yep.
But when you read aloud, you'll read it and you'll catch more errors that way. So I can't stand it. I'm just not that anal. Not saying that you are. I cannot. I give it to an editor, and as long as they give me my books back and don't lose my voice. That's one thing I don't want you to do here. Make it sound better, but don't lose my voice, whatever you do.
Yeah, for sure.
How long do you see yourself writing? Because you've been doing this for quite some time, but it sounds like you're just getting started. How long do you see yourself continuing?
I think as long as I have ideas, I'll just keep writing.
How often does those ideas come to you?
Oh, goodness. I would say I work really well working on 3 projects at once. So as soon as I start to finish one, I just get another idea for a different one. So I'm working on the second and third book in the trilogy. I have a standalone in the same universe outlined. I'm working on a totally separate project. And then I just got an idea like last week to turn an old book character that I had written when I was like 17 and basically flip it around and put it in this universe and make a new story that way.
So that begs me to ask, how do you keep that all together?
Yeah. Ooh, a spreadsheet, a very big Google spreadsheet.
I can only imagine, because to actually keep track of that in your head, it would not happen. I'm assuming it wouldn't happen, right?
For the most part, I remember it. The main thing that I have trouble with remembering off the top of my head is the timelines, because it is fantasy. It spans like over 1,000 years.
Okay.
And I have multiple kingdoms, things going on in each kingdom. So I have a spreadsheet that's like, how many years ago, which kingdom, and here are the major events. And I just plug it in every time I come across something that I wrote. And now I'm a little more proactive and I do it as I write. But going through the first book, I was like, ooh, what year did this happen?
I hope I got it right. I hope.
Yeah, I hope I live up to my own thing that I wrote and I keep my facts straight.
Oh, God.
I don't know how like George R. R. Martin does this. Jeez, that's nuts. I can't imagine.
What you do, I can't imagine, right? I promise you, all my characters is localized. I'm in the DMV, which is like the Washington, D.C. area. I promise. Every book I've written, right here in D.C. It's not hard at all. Like, it just, the street. I grew up over there, not a problem. That's
right.
Exactly.
I know that street name. I know exactly where that is.
Exactly.
Yep.
To say the least, if you was to give, two questions here. If you was to give, because you're not a new author, right? You're definitely not a new author. You've been doing this for quite some time. So if you was to give new authors a bit of advice, what would it be?
I want to say take breaks when you need it is probably the biggest thing. Like, don't feel bad if you can't find the motivation to write. Take a break. If it lasts a day, cool. If it lasts a few weeks, you'll get over it. I actually ended up taking a break. I did NaNoWriMo in 2016 and then like a 3-year break. And I didn't write hardly any. I was in college. That's a lie. I was in college and I'm a creative writing minor. So I wrote a lot, but I didn't write anything specifically for me.
That would make sense. I'm assuming because if you was to do you think that would have lent to burnout? You being burnt out?
I think so. Yeah. And doing NaNoWriMo was hard. That was my first year in college too. So it was a lot of like juggling, and it was just a challenge that I really wanted to set for myself. And I did it. And I wrote 50,000 words in November as a full-time student with a job. So I did it, but then I think I was pretty burnt out that way. And then being in creative writing classes, doing short stories, doing critiques like every week. It was a lot of writing and a lot of learning. And I literally took the rest of college off from writing for myself. So
I can
break if you need it.
I can only imagine. My next question would be, so what advice would you give your current self would give to your future self as an author?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm good.
I would say that's a really good one, because I'm like trying to anticipate what am I going to be worried about later.
Because I'm pretty sure as you think about that, what you would tell your younger self, right? And if you think about it, your younger self was like really onto something.
Yeah, younger me knew what was up. I would probably say, don't get lost in the numbers. Just if you have one person who reads something and it changes their life, that's great. Don't get lost in, I need to be famous, or I need to have 1,000 people at my book signing, or anything like that. Just do it for the love of it.
Well, that's spoken like a true artist, but let me flip that coin over for you. Like, as talented as you are, as passionate as you are, success is a byproduct of that. It's, I don't know if you've seen the Avengers, but it's like Thanos, it's inevitable. I'm sorry.
We can spend another hour talking about the Avengers. Okay.
Don't do that. I got a tattoo on my arm that says, look at it, I love you 3000. Don't play with me. Exactly.
Yeah. No, don't play with me.
So with that being said, I think what happens if with artists, they don't see that. And it's cool to do it for the love, right? What I believe, and this is just me, what staves off burnout or not feeling fulfilled is actually making sales. I would write it regardless, but I need to see the feedback. I need to see the love. And I think what happens, as long as you don't focus on that, it'll come. It will definitely, like you get, like you said, they're going to find you no matter what, no matter what platform, no matter if you had to start to break out a typewriter and start to type your books, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Pardon me, people that love to read.
I owned a typewriter for a while.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people that love to read is going to find like how people will binge on Netflix, readers binge on books the same way. Yeah, so yeah, I think that you're definitely on your way. Before I let you get out of here, any closing words that you want to part with people that, you know, that's going down your same path? A last bit of advice?
Ooh, last bit of advice.
Like words of wisdom of self-published authors that write in your genre that
Yeah.
that maybe don't have the love, right? So you have people that do it for I like to do it and I want to get a reward for it, or my passion wanes. Whereas your passion has been steadfast for years now.
Yeah, I would say whether you're a pantser or a plotter, if you get stuck writing, you can always skip around in your book because it's your book and nobody can tell you what to do.
I'm learning that the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing about authors. We don't like to be told how to write. Now, you can give me advice how to market. You can give me advice how to sell. You can give me advice how to play the social media game. But everybody has their own way that they construct their stories.
Yep, for sure. Oh, it changes so much. I was talking to an author like this week and he was like, oh, I feel like I write really differently because I put bullet points in my writing. And then I go back and I flesh it out. And I'm like, oh, that's what I do too. I never thought that was weird. Or different.
But what happened is that those bullet points are holding idea points. Like you just, and I need to go back and flesh that out. And that's
exactly.
Yeah. I definitely understand.
Do what works.
Yes. Yeah. You got to. You can't expect to actually be uber productive if you're writing like somebody else because you're not writing from an honest vein.
Exactly. Like yourself, because you're the one writing.
Nobody can tell the story but you. Think about it. If you have 5 authors in a room, they was told to describe that room. You're gonna have 5 different versions because everybody sees things differently. Although they got the same writing assignments.
Yep. It's all in the perspective.
Yes, ma'am. Quick question. Being so authors / writers hate to be told how to write, you went to school for writing. How did that work out? Did they give you just freedom to do or create as you wanted, or did they give you structure, and did that structure inhibit you?
I would say we were given more of a toolkit to write. We learned about the 3-act story structure. We learned about different plot points and story beats in writing, how to build tension, how to use different points of view. If you want to be far away, you want to be omniscient, or do you want to be in their head? Do you want to be in their head, third person, first person, whatever. So we learned a lot of the technical stuff. And then as far as actually writing, we were given a little bit of a prompt. Maybe it would be something along the lines of tell a story in a hospital from a character you wouldn't expect.
Ooh.
Something like that. And somebody wrote about a literal fly in the hospital. Their character was a fly. So you got some wild, literally fly on the wall in the hospital. I was like, okay, that's creative. But it was extremely beneficial to have so much feedback in writing, which is, I think, maybe why I feel confident enough to self-edit, because every week we would turn in our story. The next week we would all have everybody's read. We would go around the room and basically just rip each other apart a little bit, but we had rules. So it was very civil.
Okay.
But like the one rule was that you couldn't say you or the author. You had to say the story.
Gotcha.
So like the story, they separated the author from their work, which I think is actually extremely helpful.
Oh, 1,000%.
If you want to be an author.
Right. We're sensitive about our shit.
And
right.
we pour so much effort into it. And there are pieces of ourselves. I think there are pieces of ourselves in everything we're going to write, because you can only write based on what you experience. So it's super hard to separate yourself from the story you wrote. But if you can take a step back and say, okay, I'm not my characters. Yes, I built this world. Is everybody going to love it? No. Does everybody love the world we already live in? Probably not. So just have that separation and say, okay, here's what the story needs to be better. Not, oh, I messed that up and I can't ever go back and fix it. If somebody gives you feedback, take it for what it is.
Right.
Take it as a learning experience and fix it in the next one.
To say the least. I guess another fail safe is when most authors write the hero's journey. Like you can never go wrong because most stories are based upon the hero's journey, right?
For sure.
to say the least. You also said something to the fact about that there's bits of you in your characters. You alluded to the female character in your current book as being a badass. So when you said that,
yes.
I got you. I do a little bit of homework. So were you really referring to yourself in that regard?
No.
There's no need to be modest.
I think saying badass it's a good hook.
Oh, sure.
I think if I was going to explain her in a little bit better light, it would be that she found herself. She found like her purpose.
Okay.
And she gets power from that. Whereas before people were making decisions for her, she was very out of control in her life. She didn't have anyone that she could like trust. So then in finding these people, her found family that she could trust, she gained a lot of power from that and stepped into her own.
Gotcha.
Which I see that bit of myself in there.
Yeah, you just answered my next question because that was the follow-up question. So how much of that is you?
Yeah, I think it's me, but it's also a lot of other people too.
How much freedom, though, do you give yourself living through your characters?
I guess in what way do you mean?
So think about it, right? When you get to, there may be certain things like this, a lot of things about myself I don't like. But when I write my book, whatever is my weakness, I actually turn that and make it into a strength.
Okay. So how much freedom do I give myself with that?
How much, or better yet, let me phrase it like this. How much do you take what you don't like about yourself and turn it into a superpower? Or do you?
I don't know if I do. I haven't really thought about it in that light. So I am drawing a little bit of a blank.
It's quite a range.
But
the reason
that's a good question though.
Right. The reason that I asked that because it's like you said, you can only write about your experiences. Even if you're into world building, fantasy, the whole nine, it still comes back to the author's experiences and their perspective. And so what happens is, although you may try your best not to incorporate all of you, it's easier to write from you than any other place. The more experiences that you have, the more depth that you give your characters. That's just me. I'm cheat code 101. I'm never going to do anything hard unless I have to. And so when I do write, I pull from my life experiences or the things I wish they were, or how I would like to see them be, or I'm going to give something a different twist. Case in point, since we talked about, and I don't want to keep you, right? I don't, but we had alluded to.
I have all the time in the world.
Not a problem. So we had alluded to earlier about the Avengers.
Yes.
I want to be politically correct. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm a little bit too old to be canceled. I was so effing, because I'm 53. I will date myself. I am 53. I've been reading comic books before you were born. I'm so mad at the way they did the Incredible Hulk. I'm like, really? This is what we're going to do here. We're not going to. He doesn't. Everybody had to come back against Thanos, but him. Everybody. Like he's going to run around with his arm in a sling. This is what we're going to do. So
I could write a dissertation on why I didn't like they did him so dirty.
I didn't like for years. So I don't want to lose my train of thought, but it's probably gone. It'll come back to me. So my whole thing is trying to please certain aspects of the public. Like he had to take a back seat. Because think about when the women galvanized against Thanos during that final battle. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, cool. But not a problem. Nah, but that's not, it doesn't work that way. That's just me. I just think that you have to stay true to your characters. And I think they dropped the ball there. I think authors need to stay true to themselves and their characters. Great question. Do you worry about being politically correct when you write?
Yeah, for sure. In certain ways.
Okay.
I don't want to offend anyone. I also want to draw light to certain issues.
Okay.
So I think there's a fine line there.
But you can always err on the side of art, correct? Because you do have a voice. You do have, it's your, like, you control that world. Not saying
for sure.
I'm not saying that authors going out of their way being insensitive to people. I'm not saying that in the least bit. But when you're writing and you get on a roll and somebody's going to find a reason not to like something about something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can always find a reason that something's wrong or somebody did something wrong. But what's the fun in that?
Jesus, I don't understand how we've been grown into such sensitive people. Like,
I know.
Get over yourselves. That's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway, before
just live your own life.
Yeah, to say the dog
enjoy what you can, and if it doesn't bring you any joy, just ignore it.
And it goes
as much as you can,
because it usually goes away. It doesn't have any energy. It goes away.
Yeah.
You feed it, it stays there. And other people come join you, and it's a thing. I'm tired of things. But anyway, with that being said, I have immensely enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
I think you're well on your way, right? I honestly believe that you especially learning that you've been writing as long as you've been writing, and you made money as a kid writing. So that validates you, right? Before I'm sorry, this can go on forever. So with that being said, how often do you deal with imposter syndrome, or do you?
I would say that I don't, in the sense that I see other people that struggle with it. I don't really think, oh, did I write something that's like terrible? Because I'm like, okay, I wrote it, which means it was good enough. And then I edit it and I read it, and I've probably read my own book like 30 times. And I'm like, if it was truly that bad, I probably just would have stopped. Sometimes you just gotta trust in yourself. And it is really nice getting that external validation and feedback from other people that they're enjoying it. I did get like a random 2-star review with zero context. It was just the stars. And I was like, I just wonder what they didn't like about it. But I can't change their mind. So just keep doing what I'm doing.
And I'm pretty sure you didn't give that any weight, because it'd have been better if they would have left some.
If they had some actual feedback, I would have been like, oh, okay, maybe I could change that in the next one or something if it resonated.
I don't know.
If someone's just going around leaving 2-star reviews with no context, like, not going to waste my energy on that.
You're smart, to say the least.
Yeah.
You're definitely smart, to say the least. Look, listeners, if you're listening to this and whatnot, I appreciate you. If you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. I've enjoyed myself so much, Lindsey. I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast. You're welcome back at any time. It's an open door.
Lovely.
Anytime you want to come through, please let me know. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a nice night, and I'll catch you on the next podcast next week.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
This episode of Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell podcast has ended. But please be sure to subscribe for more literary strategies and tactics to help you create the profitable, successful author career you've always wanted. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring you the best author and book-related content. See you on the next episode.